have an uninterrupted electricity and water supply from solar energy in the Gambia and beyond, worry no more. Because Solar Enterprise will provide you with the solutions at reasonable cost. We have experienced personnel who can install and advise you about your electricity and water supply with a warranty period. We have good quality solar products from North America and Europe. We provide services and sell products to individuals, organizations, institutions, private offices, communities, and government. These products are solar panels, batteries, charge controllers, inverters, water pump, water heaters, freezers, submersible pumps, and general solar accessories. Visit our stores at 48 Karaba Avenue and Brusubi Highway, or you can call us on 7657 479 980 8483 340 9400 or 635 9906.
Jamano Money Transfer Bureau de Change, your go-to option when it comes to money transfer. With Jamano, you can send money from anywhere in the world to your family and loved ones in the Gambia and be sure the funds will be delivered to them within the shortest time possible. For your convenience, funds sent through Jamano Money Transfer can be picked from all the banks and multiple other financial institutions, including Ajib Bank, Trust Bank, GT Bank, Mega Bank, Basic Bank, Reliance Financial Services, and Approved Services. Visit our head office at Brusubi opposite AfricMed next to Trust Bank Limited, or email us at info@jamanomt.com. You can as well call us on 310-3050 or 310-3051, or yet still 733-0688. Our opening hours are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday and 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday. Jamano Money Transfer, your most trusted money transfer service where customer satisfaction is paramount. When you think of a simple, fast, and reliable money transfer, think Jamano Money Transfer.
I get it. Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la sto.
Ha, code nyenje.
Okay. What's Nsila ID soto.
Sorry. I get it.
Bijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara Allah service o tariaka.
Mbare.
Mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariaka.
Janno mi yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbari ya bere. Birin koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato nim fo bolong labe ko.
56 branches mola soto Gambia ja.
Ha?
Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol. Nka kodo kiya bere. Kodo sifa fo palindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi to poto nim kodi maraw. Jannom number 1 ti nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi mani domorol dir fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je.
Wo moyo diat.
Apelenta
baraka. Ni ma lafta nyelan kendol e bina.
Yalo bu kanyi la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Baraka.
Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, takaful fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151 or visit Yona head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.
Have you traveled on the Westfield to Tabokoto Road lately? Have you experienced the traffic jam along the road? Have you noticed the persistence of the traffic jam? Above all, have you experienced the inconvenience that accompany you as you navigate your way through this traffic?
It can be both costly and frustrating. Well, imagine having an alternative route to this congested Westfield to Tabokoto or Westfield to Birkama Highway.
A bypass from Sting Corner to Mandinaba could greatly reduce traffic congestion in the Greater Banjul area, significantly improve travel time, reduce cost for passengers, improve safety, and scale up environmental benefit.
Plans are underway to build this bypass and make it a toll road. An analysis has shown that those who invest in this toll road can recover their investments and potentially make significant profits.
The bypass could be financed through National Direct Investments (NDI) and complemented by Foreign Direct Investments (FDI).
The NDI is an initiative that would create a platform through which national savings of both residents and diaspora Gambians are channeled to finance strategic development projects that are of national interest and can generate revenue. The bypass will have a self-financing capacity, operated through user charges, and a strong incentive for participation from a financial viewpoint.
In case you're wondering about the management of this project, here's the plan. Representatives of the investors will be part of the board of the Special Purpose Vehicle or SPV responsible to provide strategic direction and oversight. In other words, they will be responsible for overall governance and decision making.
This SPV will be a separate, independent legal entity to own and operate the project.
An escrow account with account details visible to all investors will be opened for the project.
By investing in a project like this, you are assured of a return on your investment and, most importantly, improve the lives of thousands of ordinary people. A win-win situation.
Welcome to the brunch. I'm Lamin Cham, and this is our weekly discussion on current affairs here in the Gambia. This week, just why and how did the Gambia again fail to meet the criteria for CAF and other international matches to be played in our national arena? Yes, we will discuss the calamity that struck the country over the last 5 years, when the Confederation of African Football and the World Football Governing Body has banned our stadium from hosting home matches. We will discuss the latest twist to this saga at the tail end of the program. But we are starting with constitutional matters because recently the Gambia government issued or gazetted its version of the 2024 draft constitution, which it hopes Parliament will pass and Gambian people will vote in a referendum to accept it. Well, there have been a lot of reactions from all sets of opinion, from people from all walks of life, Gambians here and abroad.
Today I am privileged to have a constitutional lawyer, Mr. Kawsu Jadama, Esquire. He is lecturer for constitutional law at the University of the Gambia and a researcher. He has been working and researching very well on constitutional matters. Today we will discuss the constitutional matters of the Gambia from the past and up to now, and then we discuss what's the meaning of these changes to the 2024 or the 2020 draft. Mr. Jadama, welcome to the Brunch.
Thank you, Mr. Cham.
Good. It's been a year or so since you were here.
Yeah, I remember I was here at some point.
So where were you?
Somewhere around the corner.
Ah, okay.
Busy with research.
I know.
Yes.
Good. Yes, while you were busy with the research or lecturing at the university, you must have had the upheavals that the country went through when the government gazetted the 2024 draft that many people in the Gambia said is far different from the 2020 CRC draft, and they opponents of the government accused the government of ignoring what the wishes and aspirations of Gambians are and instead inputting what they wish to have, which they said allegedly is self-entrenchment in power and absolving themselves from any future accountability. Basically, that's the criticisms that the government faced. The government has tried to explain in an explanatory note the reasons why they said those changes are good and are valid. But take us through, how did we get here?
Thank you very much, Mr. Cham. I think what is important here is that before we look at what is happening now, we have to go back to the history. Yes, where everything started and how we get here. So the constitutional history of the Gambia is a journey that reflects from colonial era to independence, independence to republicanism.
Yes.
So independence was a transition point. So if you look at before colonialism, there are a lot of activities. The monarch, the British, they were here.
Yes.
So, and they have a legal frame work in place to govern the Gambia and other West African countries during colonial time. Before 1965, there were activities happening, colonial activities on the ground, because we have to go back to 1843, where it all started, right? Before 1965, many people will take us that colonialism the era started 1965. Yes, we have a document that came 1965, but before 1965, there were activities happening. So, if you look at 1843, the British were here. Even before that, they were colonizing. They colonized the Gambia and most of these West African states through a framework called Legislative Council, then predominantly British, predominantly English. The Queen was the head of state and head of government. The Queen was ruling here through a Governor General.
Exactly.
So those days. Then, at some point in 1947, there was a constitution. Many people will not talk about this, or will not know about this. The Gambians then, our political players, were agitating for Gambian representation because we are predominantly British Legislative Council administering the Gambia. So when there was this advocacy that more Gambian representation, then we move on. There was agitation. We need more Gambian representation till we get to the 1965. 1965, if you look at that colonial document, it's a negotiated document. Predominantly, it served the interests of the British people. In as much as we want independence, but it was predominantly a British document. If you look at that as well.
So what was the interest of the British?
The interest of the British, they still want to hang on, continue administering the Gambia, like what is happening in other jurisdictions. So there was this advocacy, and they come up with a document, 116 provisions document, a 13 chapter document, 68-page document, which has 3 schedules. If you look at the 1965 Constitution, it's only 116 provisions. It's a very small document, predominantly serving what the British want.
I see.
So we moved there. Then there was this advocacy. Still now, we want to have independence. We don't have full-fledged independence. At 65, we are not Republican.
Yes.
We got independence, but not.
We are not a Republican.
We are not a Republican.
That's why most people believe that our independence started in 1970 instead of 65.
I don't think I can. Well, we got independence, but republicanism is 2 different things. Yeah. These are 2 different frames of governance.
Yeah.
When it comes to independence and republicanism.
Yeah.
And in the process, we have 1965 Constitution. We have the Republican Constitution of 1970. We have the second Republican Constitution of 1997. We are talking about 2020, then 2024 draft. In between, it's like we have 5 documents.
Yes.
1965 Constitution, 1970, 1997, 2020 draft, and 2024 draft. 5 documents.
Like, exactly.
And how old is Gambia now? We're talking about 5 different constitutions.
60 years now.
Can we compare that to America?
America, which is 200 years or so.
200 years or so. From
and they have
1787, when they got their independence, when they got their first constitution in place.
Yeah. But they have a lot of amendments.
The independence was 1776. Yeah, but they only have 27 amendments.
Amendments.
With the American Constitution.
So for 200 years.
For 200 years.
So even with us, even that voluminous constitution, each consisted maybe 300 or 900.
And critics argue that our 1997 constitution has undergone more than 52 amendments within that short time frame.
Within 22 years.
Within 22 years. So that's the beauty of constitutional principles like rigid constitution and flexible constitution. These are the advantages. Now, look, okay, we'll come to American Constitution later, which has awards of 7,591 words. Yes, American Constitution, including the signatures of the drafters, the original drafters, counted, including the 27 amendments. 7,591 words.
Only?
Yes, American Constitution. Guess what? The longest and the largest constitution in the world is India.
Wow.
Being the biggest democracy. India having the world's biggest democracy, they have the world's largest and longest written constitution. Okay. 145,000 words.
So what about ours?
Our own, nobody can, I have done my research. I cannot see the word counts of Gambian constitution. Neither 1965, nor the 1970, 2020, not of...
You didn't try to find out.
I'm doing my research. I'm still doing my research on that. I cannot get the word count. It's interesting. I cannot still get the word counts for Gambian constitution.
So somebody need to count it one by one then?
Well, probably the drafters should have contemplated this. Look, it's easy if you have the word version before you bring it to the PDF or whatever. The word count is there. I think it's always easy to bring this up. But if you do, I do my research on that. I cannot find it.
But if you have the soft copy of
unless you go by that, you can determine the word count of Gambian Constitution. Okay. Why I'm talking about volume and longest written whatever, because I had some arguments that 2020 draft is voluminous and is long and whatever. Compared to Indian Constitution, 145,000 words, 448 provisions, articles.
Yeah, that's
divided into 22 parts, 12 schedules. Indian Constitution is the largest and the longest written constitution.
Okay, moving on. Yes, we have 97.
Now we go to 1997. 1970.
Yeah.
1970 also, if you look at it, it's 134 provisions. It's a 9-chapter document, 128-page document with 2 schedules, just like the 1997 Constitution. So if you look at that one also, it's not still now. Yes, we have change of governance, because when we have 1997, we become a Republican. Instead of the Westminster parliamentary system, we have the presidential type, where we have the head of state and the head of government combined in one portfolio. Then Saga became the head of state and head of government. And then the last Governor General was Governor Sir John Paul, was here, before Sir Farman Singate took over. The last Governor General, Gambian for that matter, our own brand, was Sir Farman Singate, who took over from Sir John Paul. Then we no longer have the presence of the British, because they were retaining the head of state and head of government, the Prime Minister then, Saga Jadama.
Exactly, yeah.
So, but when we get the Republican stage, it becomes combined in one. We have Daro Jara as the same as head of state and head of government. In fact, now we are commander-in-chief. It's like a portfolio star added now.
Yeah.
Even the current one is head of state, head of government, and commander-in-chief.
Yeah, that's
CIC, right? Okay. So that document, there is a deficiency when it comes to human rights issues, when it comes to democratic governance in place. So we, all of a sudden, we see ourselves, what happened? A coup d'etat.
Yeah.
1997. Was it then that led to the coming of the 1997 document? There was a coup d'etat in 1994. And then the 1997 document was set aside. Right? After 2 years briefly, the military rule, they brought in the 1997 document. But with looking at the 1997, there is deficiency again when it comes to human rights, when it comes to governance, when it comes to public participation. There are shortcomings with that document as well. Notwithstanding, it's not a very bad document. It's a good document, though. It's only that unfortunate that we had a leadership that does not respect the Constitution or has no regard for the Constitution. But we have a very good document. It's not that entirely bad as people are talking about it. The 1997 Constitution.
So it was more or less the people who presided over it than actually the document itself.
No, exactly.
The leadership.
The leadership was the problem, not the document entirely. So then there was an election, and the incumbent lost the election. Then that brought in. That was in 2016. We had 2017. We have the opportunity to come with another constitution. That is the Third Republic. It would have been called the Third Republican Constitution. Yeah. What happened along the process? There was this opportunity. I was privileged to serve in the CRC team. Then I was doing my masters. Right. Okay. From there, there was a National Assembly Act that empowered CRC. We call it CRC Act 2017.
Exactly.
And then they were given the mandate to come with a process to give us a new document. And all the protocols, procedures were followed: transparency, inclusivity, accountability. And then there was that broad consultation nationwide, and even Gambians outside. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And we are talking about 116 million document that was spent on that document.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And now that document is lying somewhere gathering dust. Because of why? The political division. Why? Because of we have challenges, politically challenges. That's why that document cannot proceed. And now we are here. There is another document called 2024 draft.
Yeah.
Which was coming from the, in fact, it's with the with the executive as we speak now, and it has done the first publication.
Yeah,
it's going through the 3 months 10 days rule by virtue of section 226.
Yes.
2A.
What will follow after that?
Yes, because the next publication is coming this month, November.
In November.
Yes, it's due. The 3 months 10 days rule is coming this November again. So after that, the constitutional text is saying that the first and the second reading must
do you expect any difference between this second gazetting and this the first one, the second one?
No, the interesting thing is, I don't want to preempt this conversation, but what is important now, the moment we are talking about the content of that document, we are validating it already. We are already accepting what happened. But my problem is with that 2024 document is that, where did these changes all come from? Who was giving the tax? Where do they get the fiat? Who is responsible of doing that? The modification.
Well, it's the government.
The amendment.
The executive.
No, but if the executive has done that, it's like they are given a second bite at the cherry. They were having the opportunity. They were consulted. The executive were consulted when the document was done.
Did CRC,
they engaged them. All the stakeholders.
Yeah.
They had that opportunity. Whatever they have done to the current document now, they had the opportunity to do that. They can come in the form of a position paper.
They came with that last time.
Last time.
Yeah.
And what happened with all these changes now they have done to this current document? They could have captured all those things, all those concerns could have been raised.
I think they have been, because I remember the position paper they had in the 2020 draft was one. The problem, they said the starting of the 2-term limits.
Yes.
was going to be discriminatory to the sitting president.
Okay.
Whoever was there, they thought that if you said the time this constitution come into force should count as the first term of whoever was president.
Yes.
They said that was discriminated to the sitting president.
Okay.
And then they also said the powers that have been given to the other bodies, out from the presidency, were also too much.
Okay.
So those are the two basic arguments the executive had.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, notwithstanding, but with all that problems, they should not have gone on their way behind closed doors, come with another document, do whatever they want to do with the document, and then present that to the Gambian people or to the National Assembly. It's wrong from the word go, ab initio. The process, the procedure, the approach was wrong. Because, unfortunately, in our current constitutional arrangement, we don't have what we call Constituent National Assembly or Constitutional Commission. In some jurisdiction, when a problem like this arises, what they do is that there is that body tasked to do that. They have the expertise, they have the capacity. It can be 25 people, it could be 50 people, it could be 100 people, but make sure they have the capacity. In some jurisdictions, they even entrust the National Assembly to do that. What the executive has done. I always look, it's my opinion that look, that mandate has to come from the National Assembly. Nobody. It's their inherent jurisdiction to assign whoever wants to do, to do whatever they have done to that document. That mandate has to come from the National Assembly, but not the executive, not the legislature, or not the judiciary to sit on their own, to go by their own, and then do whatever they want to do with the document, and then present it to the Gambian people.
So everyone roundly condemned that act by the government,
right,
and said they should not have. They don't have the mandate. I remember some people said they don't even have the mandate to effect these changes. And the draft that has been prepared through a very wide consultation.
Very wide.
But that unfortunately is what happened. The government came to defend the changes that people disagree with. Now, what does that leave us now? Because you're telling us that by this month we should expect the second
presentation, publication,
yes.
gazetting.
So
because gazetting is all about publication.
Yeah, what I'm trying
to 3 months, 10 days.
That second one, is it going to now input the things that the people disagree with, or is basically the same thing is coming out?
Well, it's a process because they don't get to the second and the third reading yet. So this is a requirement, it's a process they are going through. What I'm saying, the 3 month, 10 days rule by virtue of section 226 clause 2A is that process they adopt now. That's what they are on now, and we are not yet there, right? The problem is the first publication has been done, and then the third month is this November. We're gonna have, and they will have another gazetting. Then 10 days within, they will present to the National Assembly.
So I'm trying to ask, this period, between the first and the second one, was that period meant for them to, get the views, the reaction of the people and effect changes, or what? What is the purpose of
the gazetting?
The
gazetting is a publication. Try to inform the public that, look, this is a bill is coming, and this is what it is.
So it's basically the same thing will come back again.
It's the same thing. So my problem is that we are not yet there, and we cannot predict what will be the outcome.
What will be the outcome
in the House?
Okay.
But with the current House now,
yes.
In fact, like I told you, in some jurisdiction, the National Assembly is taxed.
It's taxed. Okay.
To look at this document again, because CRC, they are fontos. The moment CRC is done with the document, they are presented to the executive. They are fontos. Fontos mean they cannot go back to the document. They have done what they're supposed to do with the document. So now, my argument is that, my position is that this is a National Assembly mandate, jurisdiction, to tax whoever is responsible, or they themselves should have been given that opportunity. So the kind of National Assembly we have now, I'm afraid nobody can entrust them with this document because of the political division in the House.
I see. So we're better off with the government doing it themselves?
No, not better off government doing it, but better off them assigning somebody.
Somebody else.
That body, whoever is responsible of modifying, amending, adjusting, adding, deleting, that mandate should have come from, that National Assembly should assign that body.
Assign somebody.
I see. It could be 25 people, it could be 50 people, it could be 100 people.
I see.
Unfortunately, in some jurisdictions, there is already a constitutional created body. When such things happen, then it goes back, the document goes back to that body, they look at it. They have the mandate to do whatever exactly what the executive has done. Then they bring it back to the House.
All right.
The House will adopt it. Unfortunately, we don't have that in our current constitutional arrangement.
I see.
Like I told you, it happened 2012, 12-15 in England. a council of 25 barons were nominated to come with a document. They call it the Magna Carta.
Yeah, the Magna.
Then King John was the king. And then the barons came with this document to at least force king to recognize some of their rights, like land ownership. And the document was meant to downsize the powers of the king, the executive. That happened. America, they have a similar issue. They call it United States Constitutional Convention in 1787. That led to the current American Constitution, enactment of the current American Constitution. Crisis all over the world. This thing happens. In France, it happens. In France, during the French Revolution.
They had a constitutional crisis.
They had a constitutional crisis. It happened in France. In France, when they used the 1780, it was 1789 to 1791 during the French Revolution. That led to the enactment and the adoption of the French Constitution now. If you look at Portugal, it happened in Portugal. They call it General Extraordinary Cortes of the Portuguese Nation, 1821 to 1822. It happened in Japan, 1888, right? When that led to the Meiji Constitution, Emperor Meiji. The constitution was named after Emperor Meiji. The enlightened time. That also come with changes, rule of law, stuff like that, and empowering the public, the citizens.
Exactly.
It happened in China in 1946. It led to the current enactment of the Chinese Constitution now.
Absolutely.
1946. It happened in Brazil, 1987 to 1988. After the 21 years military rule in Brazil. They have this problem. They have a body, created a body to look into the document. It happened in Indonesia, 1956 to 1959. It happened in India.
So there are many areas where you have the constitution.
But yes, South Africa, 1993, 1996. In fact, South African Parliament was entrusted with the job. But who can entrust this six legislation? These six legislative council,
but eventually the document will go there and then to a referendum.
It will go there, but what I mean is that in some jurisdiction, it would have been the National Assemblies
they could have done
this
what the executive
for themselves. But who will trust them with that kind of tax? Who will trust them with the tax now?
With the current division.
With the current division in the House.
But in any way, it's going back there. What do you expect from what you have heard?
It's going back. My problem is that I'm afraid it's gonna, this 2024 draft is gonna suffer the same fate like that with the 2020 draft because of the political division in the House. Yes, it's gonna face the same because it's waste of resources, waste of energy, and waste of time.
So you think that when it comes before the parliamentarians, despite all some voices saying that, well, perhaps it's time now we look at the differences, forgo the differences, come together and at least adopt it. Not all part of it is bad.
The problem is we have done the approach. We have problem with the approach here. Hadn't been, the executive did not do it entirely on their own, and then they involve stakeholders. But even though, that's what I'm saying, that approach is wrong. When this thing happened, we should have gone back to the National Assembly. They should come with a body, appoint a body, nominate a body, or tax. We can even have foreign experts involved in this thing to help us with the process. We can use on external expertise to support, technical assistance, to give us support. But what I'm saying that any other branch of the government has the mandate to take the document on their own and do whatever they want to do with it. It has to go back to the National Assembly. If you don't entrust them with that tax, they can assign.
I got your point.
They can subcontract somebody else, a body, identified body that will be clothed with the power to do whatever they want to do with the document. That is our concern, public concern.
Good.
Yes.
Now let's go to the nitty-gritties.
Yes.
Some of the changes.
Yes.
Let's go straight to the big issue, which we think will still be the problem. That is the two-term limit. In the 2020 Constitution, like I said, the draft, the CRC draft, it was provided that when the Constitution come into effect, that term would serve as the president's first term. Like I told you, the government's position was that that would be discriminatory to the sitting president. All right. Now, the 2024 has just come. In your experience, what did it say in addressing that problem that people allege led to the rejection of the Constitution? Because they said it's the term limit problem that caused all this problem.
Yeah,
what did the 2024 brought about the term limit, according to you?
Yeah, the problem is, if you look at the text, the section 102 of the 2020 draft, and then section 92 of the 2024 draft, the text remain the same. The problem is where we have the transitional consequential under the schedules, where we have the interpretation section. That's where the problem lies. By virtue of clause 5, subclause 2 was entirely removed, and that particular clause talks about the effective date of the presidential term, of the two-term limit, because both texts are clear with that there must be 2 terms.
Yes.
So, and this 2 term, whether you serve it consecutively or you don't serve it consecutively, it has to be 2 terms of 10 years. Like, for instance, if somebody served 1 term, like what happened to Donald Trump. If he happens to win this election now,
he cannot contest.
He cannot contest again. Yeah. That's the end.
So whether it's consecutive or it come,
intermittently, it remains the same. Yeah. The 2 term limit is 10 years. Is 10 years.
Both drafts agreed on that.
Both drafts agree on that. The main constitutional text, the main text, but the interpretation section. That's where the problem lies. That's where they remove where the interpretation is at the effective date. It will start with the existing term. Hadn't been the 2024 draft passed through the National Assembly, the existing term will have been the first term of the president, the incumbent, the current president.
Yes.
But now, at this stage now, if you still go by that interpretation, they say the count will start, the effective date will start, the existing term. The existing term is the second term of the current president, the sitting president.
Well, there are 2 schools of thoughts that because his supporters said this is the first time.
No, this cannot be the first time because the constitution, the drafters are very, very clear here, and people are talking about retroactive. Wait, I don't see any retroactive issue with this because the problem is, to me, presidency is not a right; it's a privilege. It's a privilege. People entrust you with whatever they have. If you look at the section 1, clause 1. What we say, Gambia is a secular state and what a sovereign secular state. So we entrust you with that power, and they say that the government drive their powers, organs of the government drive their powers from the people of the Gambia. Sovereignty lies with the people of the Gambia. That provision is talking about that. So now, you are serving, whatever you are doing in our name, in our interest. So it should be a reflection. In fact, the power comes from the people. That's what that sovereignty thing is saying, that sovereignty lies with the Gambian people. We gave you that power. You are in a position of trust. We entrust you with that power. So I see that it's not a right, it's a privilege. So when, in fact, if we go by the text, if they do that particular clause is not being removed by the 2024 drafters, if they still remain, when we go by that count and by that text, it says the effective date. The effective date starts with the existing term. Now the existing term is the second term. So the count will start the second term. So if you start counting that, it's like 10 years. Then if you happen to win, you say you go for 1 more 5, you will go for another 5 years. If you happen to win, then that means that the current president will go for 15 years.
Would have gone
for 15 years if he happens to win the next election. But the count will start this second term.
That's what I'm saying. I said that.
So is 15 years not enough? But if you entirely remove that count now, where are we now? We are as good as 1997. You are taking us back to 1997 status.
So you are telling us now that the 2020 draft on the term limit, which must be 2 terms, stated that when the constitution come into force, that year, that term should count as the first. So that would have meant that Adama Barrow's first term, that is 2017 to 2021, was already first term. Then he would have only been eligible from 2021 to 2026, and would have stopped there if that constitution had been passed at that time. But it was rejected. And time passed. Adama's first term elapsed. Adama is now comfortable to bring it back.
In his second term.
In his second term. Because if it passes, if it remains the same and it passes, it would have meant that constitutionally, he would have start counting his first term with this period. All right. But you said they removed even that part now which says where it should start
Yes,
has been removed.
Yes.
So now there is nothing there which says this is when it is starting, this
When
is when
it's
it's starting.
gonna- so this is
we
why-
went back to the 97 constitution, it
this-
is silent on two terms.
Yeah, the implication is that if you remove that, presidential term limit is as good as 1997.
Where it is not, doesn't even exist.
Where there is no cap.
So now,
Yes.
how sincere do you think is the government when they said they are committed to two terms?
This is the problem now, because if they are committed, they will have not touched that part, that effective date count there, that transitional consequential provision there, where the interpretation is saying that the effective date start with the existing term. Because if you serve, or because it's like you are coming to serve 10 years, you have another 5 years to go. If you still remain that, if you leave that text, I'm sure if that text remain and you have some few issues adjusted, the document will sail through. I'm sure. But if you remove that entirely, you are already in your 10th year, in your second term.
Yeah.
Counting 10 years.
That is to most people. To most people,
Yes.
is only second year, only second term.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, when you talk about this, his term, the term he has served, everybody know he came to power 2017.
Very well.
So most people, that is the term.
Yes.
But then they are arguing constitutionally
Yes.
that he has no term limit because it's not there. So therefore, you cannot count the first one as his first term. Even if there is now two-term limit, they would say that first one is an arrangement with the coalition, so it cannot be counted.
But it cannot be say is a transition or is a coalition arrangement.
Yeah.
When you serve a term, because normally if you say a transition, you should not serve the full term.
Yeah.
And where did you serve the full term? You serve the Gambian people.
That was the argument against the 3 years Jotna.
No.
That look, I have a 5-year mandate.
Yes. And you went ahead and served the 5 years mandate.
But now you are not. Now you are interested in calling it a mandate.
Transition period. It cannot be transition period anymore. The moment you serve the full mandate, you cannot call it transition. Transition is when it's not up to the full mandate. If like you serve 3 years or 2 years, less 5 years, we can understand that's transition period. That cannot be counted. But the moment you serve the full term and you still want to count the transition,
that's where the argument is.
That's why the problem lies.
So if, as President Barrow's supporters said now, well, there's no time limit, so the president can run. We had the information minister now saying that in fact he can run, and nobody can do anything about it.
Well, the only thing is that I think it's a game. It's a political game, and after all, they know what they are doing. The executive, they know what they are doing, and they know what they want. So, as the document is now, the 2024 draft, with that removal, that interpretation section, removing that section 5.2, by removing that, what I'm saying that the document is as good as 1997 document. That's what I'm saying, because there will be no cap. And the problem is, when we get there, it will be a matter of interpretation for Supreme Court. We will be at the Supreme Court. We will go to Supreme Court because the others will say no, the count, where is the term limit? If you remove that one now, in fact, we cannot even call it, in fact, you are taking us beyond 1997. 1997 is criticized because there is no cap, no time limit. So if you remove that effective date time now, the timeline, the count,
as it is in the 2024
yes. So it's like we are bringing 1997 again. In fact, it's better we go by 1997 than bringing removing that when you come to presidential term limit. If you remove that clause now, you taking us back to 1997. That's the danger of having that, and which means the president can go on without any limit as long as he's winning elections. That's the danger.
So you are trying to say us that, in fact, according to the 2024 draft, the president is even more ambitious in terms of continuity than even if the section had remained. Because like you said, he would have been satisfied, or he would have served 2 terms in his own thinking. By not counting the first one, he would have been 15 years for him. The time he would have been satisfied that I have served 2 terms.
Yes.
It would have been 3 terms for most people.
Yes.
But for him would have been 2 terms. But without this section now, you are implying that in fact he is more ambitious in terms of continuity than if it had been remained.
Exactly. It's like 1997 where there is no limit. The president can go as long as he's winning.
As Jammeh did.
Yes. That's the problem. So
as long as he's winning.
Yes. So the problem is what I'm saying is that because 2026 is just around the corner. So what the problem is, we should have resolved this problem before we get there. And now with the current political framework in place, with the current political landscape, with the current political landscape, there is no way that document can sail through the National Assembly. It's a waste of resources, waste of energy, waste of time. We are going back to the drawing board again. So the best thing is, before wasting time, energy, and resources, why not we go back to the drawing board and start fresh and get it right? As long as we don't get it right, we cannot get it right at the end.
How do we go about
at the beginning?
How do
the only thing is, we go back to the National Assembly. Going back to the drawing board means, let's go back to the National Assembly. They should tax anybody to do, and then that body will have the mandate to do whatever they want. People have divergence, the burning issues. There are a few areas: presidential term limit, central local governance, independence of the judiciary, and then people's rights, specific rights protection, and stuff like that. These are the major areas. If those areas are not being touched or tampered with, I'm sure the document will sail through. I'm sure. But as long as those areas remain compromised,
if the National Assembly is tasked either to do it, or they identify a body which is, which should comprise people of integrity
with
expertise and integrity.
Exactly.
They can come and, after consulting people,
yes,
draft.
Yeah.
This. I mean, complete this draft, inputting everybody's thoughts.
Yeah.
You mean that could do the job?
That could do the job, because when we say they will consult, there will be public dialogue. It doesn't mean they will go back to the CRC
format, flying all over.
No, covering every stage. No, the key stakeholders will be engaged by that body. Then they will bring their thoughts. But the body can be, like I said, 25 people, 50 people, 100 people. But there must be expertise. If that body is there, right now we don't have it. It can be created. Let's go back to the National Assembly. Let them tax anybody. Let them tax that body. Some are telling me, some lawyers are telling me, yeah, Law Reform Commission. I say no, they don't have the mandate. Law Revision Act. I say no. Law Revision Act is a sole commission appointed by the Minister of Justice. Law Reform Commission is a 5-man commission nominated by the President. So where comes the neutrality? If you say that body can do it, that body cannot do it. We have to go back to the drawing board. Going back to the drawing board, we go back to the National Assembly. Let them tax anybody. That body or institution or whatever have the expertise to look into the document, to add, to modify, to delete, to reduce, to omit, whatever they want to do with the document, based on where people have differences. That document can be accepted, and we can have good governance in place.
So, at this stage now, when this second gazetting comes out, it's going to the National Assembly.
Yes.
You still saying that this proposal you're doing is still not late. Once it got there,
yes,
they can, instead of sitting and discussing among themselves or arguing or trying to vote it down or maintain it, they can set up this body you're talking about.
It's not that. It's not. We have this window opportunity to create a body. National Assembly can create a body, or like some quarters are suggesting that we go by incremental reform.
What is meant by incremental?
Incremental reform is that we look at the contentious issues, the burning issues, then we go back to the 1997 document, make effective changes in that document, and then it will be as good as anything. But is that not taking us back? Are we not going back? Because initially, before even CRC, some were suggesting that let's just look at some key areas in the 1997 document and change those areas.
Yeah,
that was among the advocates.
Yes.
That we don't need an overhaul of a new constitution. But now, if that happened now, because of the current political landscape, we cannot have a breakthrough at the National Assembly. So it's as good that we go by incremental reform, going back to the going back to the 1997 document, make those effective areas that are affecting everybody, the salient areas. We change those areas through by virtue of Section 226 to amend this constitution. We can be leveraged by virtue of Section 226 of 1997 Constitution. We go and make those key amendments and changes. Like I said, if you look,
after wasting hundreds of millions,
after wasting $116 million. So it's like going back and forth because of the current political landscape. It's not healthy. It's not conducive for this document to sail through the National Assembly. It cannot. It will suffer the same fate like the 2020 draft. So the best way to go about it, we go back to the drawing board. Let's go back to the National Assembly, and with all their political divisions, they can tax a body, group of people, with expertise to have that constitutional mandate or requirement duty to do to try to align, make sure that it's aligned with international standard too, international democracy. It should be a reflection of international standard in as much as what we want to do. But if you look at the current 2024 draft, when you say like things like when people talk about human rights, detention period, from 48 hours to 72 hours.
2 hours, yes.
So where are we? You are taking us back.
So you mean the areas that, you mean there are a few key areas that you think if an independent, competent body look at those things, make consultations, they could easily solve the contentious issues.
Exactly.
Like term limits, civil liberties,
and then the amount of power given to the executive. Excessive powers.
The powers given to the executive, as well as the accountability. Because those were
and local governance,
decentralization, and
independence,
particularly accountability. Because it has been suggested that the government draft really seems to run away from accountability. The government is running away from accountability by making it, in such a way that ministers can declare their assets to the National Anti-Corruption Commission when coming in, but when going, they are not entitled to it.
In fact, if you look at it, in summary, because we believe in, as a constitutional law, we believe in separation of powers, the principle of constitutional law, separation of powers, and then checks and balances. So if the executive is having most of the powers, because we have the separation of powers to avoid concentration of power into one hand. When you talk about state, we talk about these are the three arms of government: the legislature, the executive, the judiciary. But now, if you go by the 2024 text, all the powers where we have National Assembly oversight powers were all being removed, given back to the president. Like if the president should appoint, National Assembly should confirm, all those powers were removed. Judicial independence, we are compromised. Like you say, now the executive, the cabinet, they can declare their assets when coming to power after being sworn in. Then, when leaving office, if you happen to have 2 donkey carts, 1 bicycle, if you are leaving office with SUVs and then with millions of dollars, you are not accountable to anybody. But you saying that as the executive is not accountable, but the legislature and the judiciary should be accountable when coming to office and after leaving office. So where is the fairness?
So I assume that people like you in the in the judiciary or in anywhere and the parliamentarians, they have every reason to be angry with this.
Well, because if you're doing I don't know who were responsible, you do it in a way that like you have an envy or you have an anger, and then you are targeting certain groups. We are all players. The executive, the legislature, the judiciary, they are all players.
Yes.
When it comes to arms of the government, when it comes to separation of powers. And these principles are fundamental. They are key fundamental constitutional principles that will enhance governance, democracy. So now, if you shift all the powers and concentrate into one power, in one hand, what are you telling the people?
I see.
And you don't want integrity. Like things are integrity.
You want the judges, magistrates, and lawyers
to be accountable,
to be subject to integrity.
Accountability.
Parliamentarians as well.
Yes,
but not the ministers and president.
And the president.
Wow.
So there is a lot of shift of power concentrating on one hand. That's the danger here.
So, but interestingly, we had the opposition politicians, and the civic society, crying that these provisions are, but we haven't had parliamentarians, except a few parliamentarians and magistrates and judges saying, well, we think this is wrong.
No, judges, they cannot comment.
They don't comment.
They don't comment.
Even if they are dying.
Even if something is affecting them.
That is why we don't hear them on the judicial.
No, you will never hear
the judicial officers.
You will never hear judicial officers complaining.
So anything that comes, they take it.
Yeah, because
the nature of their job.
The nature of their job. Because it goes with ethics. So because of those ethics, they cannot compromise. They cannot compromise their ethics. They cannot do that.
They can't stand.
Everybody can come and shout and complain, except the judiciary. You will never hear them. They will never do it. But there are bodies out there who can come and...
Well, the civic society have spelled it out, and the opposition politicians have said that, well, it is not even fair to the judges, not even fair to the
legislature. So now, and the document is going back to those people.
That's seriously affected. That's the irony now.
That's why I'm saying that it's going to suffer the same fate. So it will be difficult. Let's go back to drawing board. Let's stop wasting time. Let's stop wasting resources. Let's stop wasting energy. Let's go back to drawing board and get it right. For the sake of Gambia, please, let's go back to drawing board. Otherwise, we are going nowhere.
This is interesting. So, basically what you are saying, that instead of us trying to get this back to Parliament and they go back to their political back and forth, waste time, money, and then end up dumping it.
And time is going.
End up dumping it. Why don't they sit down and put up a body of people with expertise and integrity? Then they try to work on these differences.
Exactly.
Bridge them.
Yes.
And then we move on.
And they will do few basic consultations based on key stakeholders. But it should be as broad based as that of CRC consultation. That's the only way out. That we have that window opportunity. Otherwise, we are going back and forth. And before we know it, we are 2026 is here.
Kawsu Jadama, a lawyer and lecturer of constitutional affairs, constitutional law at the University of the Gambia. Thank you very much for being on the brunch. I mean, he has, shed light on the current state of the constitutional crisis we have. He said, instead of going to the National Assembly for them to argue, and we hoping that they will pass it, for it to go to referendum, what we should instead do is let the Parliament set up a body that will be of competent and people of integrity to do these changes, and then we can go straight to referendum.
Yeah. And another thing, Mr. Cham, is that the unnecessary threshold of 3/4.
Yes,
for the second and third reading.
For the referendum.
When you say
in the Parliament, yes.
3/4 requirement is 75 by figures.
Yeah, by
3/4.
Yeah.
3/4 in percentage is 75%.
Yeah.
You talk up. Could we have 3/4 75% for that document to pass at the National Assembly?
It would be difficult.
By virtue of Section 226 Clause 2. And if you look at Section 226 Clause 4, even if the document happens to pass through the National Assembly, we'll still have another obstacle at the referendum. The 50-75% supermajority rule.
That would be difficult.
50% could come out, 75% to say, yes, we want this document.
And you talk about the resources that will go
The resources that will go into that again.
The campaign.
50%, 75 supermajority rule. Where are we going?
And
these are unnecessary.
And what will be the messages of the no and the yes campaign?
Exactly.
Everybody will confuse.
Exactly.
Kawsu Jadama, we can go on and we won't be able to exhaust this constitutional crisis. But thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on the brunch. Of course, we will never be tired of consulting you. The brunch will continue with a look at the debacle that has hit the Gambia's National Independence Stadium, which have 5 years been banned by FIFA and CAF, and the latest development being that the last home match in the Africa Nations qualifiers will not be played at home as many people have expected. So join the brunch in the next couple of minutes. Thank you, meanwhile, Kawsu, for being on the program.
Thank you, Mr. Cham.
Have you traveled on the Westfield to Tabokoto Road lately? Have you experienced the traffic jam along the road? Have you noticed the persistence of the traffic jam? Above all, have you experienced the inconvenience that accompany you as you navigate your way through this traffic?
It can be both costly and frustrating. Well, imagine having an alternative route to this congested Westfield to Tabokoto or Westfield to Birkama Highway.
A bypass from Sting Corner to Mandinaba could greatly reduce traffic congestion in the Greater Banjul area, significantly improve travel time, reduce cost for passengers, improve safety, and scale up environmental benefit.
Plans are underway to build this bypass and make it a toll road. An analysis has shown that those who invest in this toll road can recover their investments and potentially make significant profits.
The bypass could be financed through National Direct Investments, NDI, and complemented by Foreign Direct Investments, FDI.
The NDI is an initiative that would create a platform through which national savings of both residents and diaspora Gambians are channeled to finance strategic development projects that are of national interest and can generate revenue. The bypass will have a self-financing capacity, operated through user charges, and a strong incentive for participation from a financial viewpoint.
In case you're wondering about the management of this project, Here is the plan. Representatives of the investors will be part of the board of the Special Purpose Vehicle, or SPV, responsible to provide strategic direction and oversight. In other words, they will be responsible for overall governance and decision making.
This SPV will be a separate, independent legal entity to own and operate the project.
An escrow account with account details visible to all investors will be opened for the project.
By investing in a project like this, you are assured of a return on your investment and, most importantly, improve the lives of thousands of ordinary people. A win-win situation.
Thank you and welcome back to the Brunch on Kerfatu Live. The second part of this program deals with the saga that is unfolding in the Gambia, that is Gambian football. The Independence Stadium have over the last 5 years not been able to host home matches of CAF because the Confederation of African Football has deemed it not suitable to hold Class 3 matches, which is of course matches involving the national team. The government has responded, investing hundreds of millions of dollars in the first phase, and when an inspection by CAF said the stadium was yet to meet the criteria, another $100 million was invested into the projects. But only yesterday, CAF, at the conclusion of a recent inspection, said the stadium, this time the pitch in particular, have not met criteria, dashing the hopes of all Gambians who hope that at least the last home match in the current African Nations Cup qualifiers, the fixture against Comoro Islands, would be held in Banjul. But now it looks like the Gambia will go back to Morocco, where it's been holding home matches over the last 5 years or so, to take on Morocco. And that match, very crucial because it's a must win for the Gambia, so that when we go to Tunisia for the last match, the final encounter, we would have at least be in a better position. With me in the studio to discuss this is Musa Sise, who is a former president of the Gambia Sports Journalists Association. Musa, welcome. But I want to start with the press release that came from the Ministry of Youth and Sports, because it is from them first when we had officially that CAF has still not approved the stadium, the Independent Stadium. The press release dealt with the issues raised by CAF and the issues that are left. Actually, the press release itself has been compounded, or rather have been developed by the Ministry of Information as now as a government document. But we go to the Ministry of Sports, which says the general public is, and I'm going to summarize, the general public is hereby informed that following the designation of the Independence Stadium for the Gambia Comoro Island match through a letter from CAF and the subsequent visit by a CAF inspector, today CAF communicated a formal letter indicating that while the stadium renovation has met CAF standards, the state of the playing pitch requires improvements to enable the hosting of Category 3 matches. Subsequently, the Gambia cannot host the match of 15 November 2024. So, CAF said in the letter, according to the ministry, that inspection of the stadium on October the 31st, they would like to commend the government and the GFF for the stadium and the stadium management for the improvements that have been made to other key structures such as the media zone, hospitality, and other structures. However, it must be emphasized that the overall condition of the field of play requires significant improvements to meet the standards necessary for hosting Category 3 CAF or FIFA matches. A big disappointment, a huge blow for Gambian fans and to Gambian citizens in general. But just how did we manage to come to this stage?
Thank you, Cham. You've dealt with it the way in verbatim, in the manner in which it's being relayed to the public by the authorities, and of course through the eyes of the inspector from CAF, who we believe was asked and sent here to do a job, and the job he's done in the best way, in the best manner in which I believe are standards set by the Confederation of African Football in making so that the grounds are up to standard, in making so that players are also given the best of opportunities, the best of playing surfaces to exhibit their talents. And here we are in Gambia. You said it, to talk about disappointment is an understatement. Blow, name it. It was a huge one. But you have to go back to where all this, what makes this whole thing a huge blow, what made it a huge disappointment on the citizenship and of course football fans of the country. From the very onset, when the whole news surrounding the stadium being lifted, or the ban being lifted, you remember in 2022 there were 23 stadiums being banned by CAF. As we speak right now, there are 11. And Gambia is still amongst those. And just the day before yesterday, is the same thing happened to Kenya, for example. But going back to why the disappointment is so huge, simply because we go back to the source of the news when it first broke, Cham. When a provisional approval is given to you, it is far from an actual approval, a confirmation, a clearance. Now you may go ahead and play your football, even though Federation has asked, or for the match to be played here, which is a requirement, because you have to give these things to them so that they can put it in the calendar for your opponents also to consider. Exactly. They also have to travel, as much as you will have to travel. So when the first approval was mentioned, of course everybody went to town. It's an approval. It's an approval. Yeah,
but who told people?
Who told people it's an approval?
Well,
but the release,
the first news about it came from the Ministry of Sports.
That is, and of course it came out. There's a confusion surrounding it.
The GFF came out
after, but I'm
very unpopular at the time when they came and said no, nothing has been approved. People were disappointed.
Officials had mentioned that this is a provisional approval. Whatever provisional approval meant on the ears of many of the listeners or followers or lovers of the game probably wasn't very clear, because that's the issue. You were given a provisional comment depending on the inspection, when you will be given all clear for your match to take place. Unfortunately, within that short period, expectations.
I tell you